Hello, Align fam. And today we're going to talk about something that a lot of you guys asked me about, which is filtering for genuine relationships or genuine friendships. More the platonic side, it could be friendship, it could be for business. Some of these things can apply to dating, but we're really focused on friendships. And we're talking about like business partners and how do we filter for who's someone we want to spend more time in, who we want to invest in. And there's nobody else I would want on this episode than my two sisters. One may be blood, one may be soul level, but it's all the same.
Yes.
And let's definitely give a warm welcome to my blood sister, Adora, who has never done a podcast.
Yes, first one.
Welcome.
Yay.
Are you nervous?
No.
Okay.
You're a veteran. Yes,
You're
she
good.
is. You're good.
You're good.
She's done like 2 with you already.
Yes.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
talks a
And
lot.
I love it.
She loves it.
This is her thing.
I know, I'm so excited. So let's start with the red flags or red lights or things that give us pause when we meet someone and we're like, maybe I don't want to spend so much time with this person's connection. You want to start?
Yes.
Next.
So I think that one thing, it's how you feel about this person after hanging out with them, right? How do you feel? Do you feel drained or do you feel inspired?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's so important. That's what I learned like later on in life that I never really like focused on how I feel. And I feel like as a friend, we always wanted to be there for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. But not everyone deserve our time,
Yes.
especially when we're in our 30s, because we have only so limited time.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to invest our time to those who actually inspire us, who make us feel good, and who can just be there for us,
Yes.
and not, make you feel so anxious after hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And I think when you're younger, we tend to have more friends and more connections, and we value like volume.
Yes,
But the
yes.
older we get, we value more genuine, more on a soul level connection. People who really make us feel better and not drain our energy, which is very important.
Yeah. One thing that she mentioned, I think a lot of us sometimes don't trust is trust your feelings.
Yes.
Because oftentimes we're very logical people, especially
Yep.
when you work in, a professional field where you overuse your mind more than you trust in your bodies, your emotions, right?
Yep.
Your feelings are telling you something's off about this
Right.
person. I don't feel good after hanging out with them. Trust that. You don't have to think, well, she didn't do anything wrong with me, or well, he didn't, nothing bad happened. But your feelings are kind of like a roadmap to say like something bad will
Yeah.
happen.
Correct.
And we talk about this so many times, like trusting our intuition.
Yeah. And also your gut is
Your gut.
another thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes learning to trust your gut is probably more important than like what you logically feel like is right for you
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I feel like that maybe we are feeding into the pattern
Right.
that's not healthy, right?
Or like what we were used to.
Right. So, for example, right, like if you're a giver, right, like, and then you just keep giving your energy,
Yeah.
but really you're not really helping that person. Maybe really what that person needs is like to see a therapist to actually cut the toxic pattern,
Yeah.
right? So for you to always be there, you're actually enabling that pattern, right? Because like in a relationship, we all know that not just one person's fault, right? It's just two people dancing together, right? So if you are feeding into that toxic pattern, maybe that's not healthy for you or your friend.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think you brought up a good point about trusting your body and like our intuition,
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes your body already knows
Yes.
what's in danger. Like
Yeah.
there's instances where I've hung out, even in like a group setting at like work or friends or a gathering where you feel like certain people, when they're on your wavelength
Yeah.
and you kind of vibe the same way. And there's certain people that you don't feel as good or comfortable after a conversation with them. And I feel like those are the people you feel like maybe draining your energy long term or something just doesn't dry. So I feel like trusting your intuition, your gut and everything is really important.
Yeah. When it comes to genuine relationships, adding on to that, something that I've learned over time is a genuine relationship is there for you through your good times and the bad times. We always hear that, right?
Yep.
But what I mean by that, when you are on your lowest point, right, and
Yeah.
you need someone, are they there for you, right? And I think the other flip side is when you're on your highest, can they handle the good things that happen to you?
Yeah.
A lot of times people can't be happy for your successes,
Yeah.
right? They can't be happy for like something good happening in your life, right? I think it's really telling that if someone can't meet you where you're at, it may not be the most genuine relationship, and should be mindful of that.
Right.
And when you're in your lowest, if the people can only hang out with you when you're at your lowest, it just shows again they can't handle your success. So you definitely want genuine people that can be through the storms with you, through the rainbows with
Yeah.
you, both sides of it. I think that's extremely telling about someone's genuineness around you.
And
Yeah.
also their intention, right?
Yes.
Which we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Is someone hanging out with you in either a business setting or, you know, on a personal level because they want something from you? Are they trying to get something from you? That's why they're your friend.
Yeah.
Or, you know, are they genuinely there for you at your lowest and also your high?
Yep. 100%. And when it comes to like your successes, do you see people, or even not, Rachel, doesn't matter. I feel like whenever, do you feel like they see you as competition? Or are they constantly competing with you, right? I think when it comes to girlfriends, the biggest red flag for me is, do they see me as competition with every single guy? Like we'll go out and like
Right.
I'm just deemed a target, right? I think that's really telling. And also the whole episode I did on this about like how some girlfriends call dibs on guys. Dude, you didn't even speak to him yet. You can't just call dibs on a guy who walks in.
Yeah.
Like, he has to like, it has to be mutual, right? He has to like you back, right? Like you can't call dibs. I think someone who's competitive with you is very clear. There's healthy competition. Like, oh, like I want to raise the next like $1 billion. I would like there's healthy when you compare notes, right? But like if someone's always seeing you as competition and not supporting you in your dreams and your journey, that's really telling.
Mhm.
Yes. Especially like when someone is doing it out of fear and out of
Yes.
insecurity.
Oh,
Exactly.
100%. There's one other thing that I wanted to oh yeah, big one for me. Okay. I think this is more, a lot of guys and girls do this, but I think I see more often with women. Okay.
Mhm.
If someone tells you other people's secrets and goes, don't say anything, but so and so is going through that, like,
Yeah.
and it's never good things, right? It's always negative things. You think they're not going to say your stuff around town, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, I get very like, ooh, when someone tells me other people's secrets.
Or when they say things too soon. For example, if you've just met someone and they're already telling you their whole business,
God bless, yeah.
or someone else's that's close to them, that's also like a red flag, right? We haven't covered red flags yet, but that's also like alarming, something to be alarmed, like to be aware of, where it's like, can I trust you? Where if I tell you something, are you able to keep it, you know, a secret?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any other red flags?
and then I think that, yeah, like I totally agree with you, because I think that when you hang out with someone, it's so important to just kind of like observe how they talk about their friends.
Yes.
If they keep talking negative about
Right.
about their friends, what do you think that this person's gonna talk about when you're
Right.
not there? Right?
Yeah.
But if this person's always like talking about like someone's like strength, it's like, oh, that's what my friend is doing. I'm so
Right.
happy about them.
Right.
Right? That's when you're like really celebrating your friend's win, even behind their back. Which
Yeah.
really, I think that you really have to pay attention what they're saying behind your back.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, like everyone obviously there's points when, even with you guys, when I'm dealing with something with a close friend or someone, I want your opinion on things. I want your thoughts on things, like how should I approach something, where I tell you the situation, right? I think that's like, there are gonna be moments when you're gonna have to share. I wouldn't even call it venting, but like sharing what has happened just to get someone else's opinion. I think that's very different than like
Sabotaging someone.
Yeah, just constantly talking
Or
shit.
down.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Constantly, right? I think that's huge. And also, do you want to be around that? It's like super negative. So
Yeah.
those are a lot of red flags. So that's really good. What about some yellow flags? Like things that you need more color. You need more data points to see this person you want to keep close.
I think more so a yellow flag for me, generally speaking, is if they're already, for example, your friend, and you feel iffy about sharing like your success stories or your wins, or like let's say you recently got a promotion or something happened big in your life that's happy, you started dating someone, where you're always cautious about, like, you have to think about, oh, how would they react to this news? I expect them to be happy genuinely for me, because I would do the same for them. But the fact that you have to think about, oh, are they going to dig at me sarcastically, or are they genuinely going to be happy? I think that to me is a yellow flag. Because bottom line is, as a friend, I feel that as a true genuine friend, you always want to be each other's biggest cheerleaders, like
Yeah.
the way that we have.
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect example, but we'll go through the green flag after.
Yeah. And what are some, love that one. I want to add one comment. I want to hear what you have to say,
Yeah.
Yushi.
Yeah.
Yellow, we just spoke about this. I think something I've learned as I got older is you're exactly right. People can only meet you where they're at.
Yep.
And some people, if they're in a really not great place, they can't be happy for you. They
Right.
can't celebrate you, right? So instead of, I would say, cut these relationships out, because it's not necessarily toxic, it's just, we're just very mindful of what we share,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're really good at this. So you're very selective of what you share with who.
Right.
Not that you don't even hide, but you're like, you don't want them to feel insecure around you
Yeah.
or trigger them in a way, right? So I think the yellow flag is there are relationships where maybe you used to be super close, but you know, sometimes you grow apart
Yeah.
and like things happen in life, right? And they're on a different journey, right?
Right.
I wouldn't say cut them out, but just be mindful of how much time you want to spend with someone that you can't genuinely speak
Yeah.
about important things. Like
Yeah.
maybe I'll invite you to a party, right? Where everyone's going to be there. I'm probably not going to spend a lot of one-on-one time with you
Yeah.
and like share open-heartedly because you're not going to be genuinely happy for me, right?
And that reminds me actually,
Go ahead.
before Yushi goes, of this something we saw on social media about like a train moving through. It was, like, a
yeah.
reel, and how
A girlfriend
just-
shared it, yeah.
where different people come into your life for different seasons and
Yeah.
reasons, and not everyone's meant to stay, and sometimes they pop off certain stops in your
Yeah.
life, and that's okay. And I think when I was younger, I was very hung up on like, I want to make this relationship work,
Yes.
or like a friendship, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But sometimes you tend to, I end up losing myself.
Correct.
And so I think it's important to stay true to who you are and to be okay to let not the wrong people, just different people that's only meant to stay for a certain season in your life go, so they can continue their journey, and I can continue
yours.
mine.
Yeah.
And then just like reflecting on like, why is this person in my life, right? What
Yeah.
kind of things that I need to learn, right? Because
Yeah.
certain people, like, they trigger certain parts of us,
Mhm.
right? And then maybe that is the part of us that we need to reflect, oh wow,
Yeah.
like this person really triggers something deep inside of me.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why this person is in your life. And then
Yeah.
once you heal that part of you, and a lot of times, like, they serve their purpose, and
Yeah.
then they just, they move on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think that going back to one of the yellow flag is that, I mean, we all love people differently. We all
Mhm.
communicate differently. I think that one thing that we need to think about is that we need to actually understand how we actually love and how we communicate.
Yeah.
And then maybe, I mean, we don't communicate exactly the same
No.
way, right? But we have to respect each other's how they communicate,
Mhm.
and then teach each other, like, oh, this is what I like and
Yes.
this is what I don't like, and then the other person can actually hear your constructive criticism,
Yeah.
Right.
and then just like, oh, okay, like maybe with Yushi, I need to communicate this way, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
maybe I have to kind of like be flexible, and I think that is really, really important.
Mhm.
And then also like know that like not everybody is gonna, like, you're gonna meet someone and they're gonna like vibe exactly
Yeah.
on your level,
Yes.
and then you guys can just like keep like teaching each other, like, hey, like,
Yeah.
this really hurt me,
Mhm.
right? Whatever you said last night really hurted me, and then can we do this differently? And if the other person is okay, I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right? But if not, then
And
Yeah.
That
the
would be a yellow flag.
communication is like the best. It's the best. How should I put it? Not the best form, but it really drives every relationship.
Yeah.
So being able to communicate like your needs and wants in whatever relationship you may be, it's so important.
Yeah. Another yellow flag is, you reminded me when we were talking about it. How like you always want to try to make friendships, relationships
Yeah.
work, right? Biggest yellow flag for me is when you have to dim your light
Yes.
around
That's a
your
good
friends, right? You've done that. We don't
Yeah.
do that anymore. Thank
Yeah.
God. Right. But it's like if someone feels like I wouldn't say threatened, but like blinded by your presence, and you feel like you have to like shrivel up a little bit.
yes, that's so important.
Yeah.
Just
Since you're not authentically being
You.
who you are.
Right. And I think tying to what your point, right? There's a way to authentically be you, but still find a way that you can communicate if it's worthy of a conversation.
Yeah.
Not everyone's, with all due respect, not everyone's worthy of a conversation. Okay.
Right.
But if they're worthy of a conversation, right? You could still be yourself, but find a middle ground and communicate with each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are some good yellow flags. Anything else, ladies, for yellow flags?
No, I think we hit all the good ones.
Yeah, any other yellow flag? No,
Yeah.
right? Okay, the fun part, green flags.
Yeah.
So I think, you know what would be really helpful actually, let's make it fun.
Yeah.
What point did it make it, did we realize that we felt fully comfortable with each other and we definitely want to keep each other close? We should go last because we're stuck with each other, but it's different. Not all siblings get along the way we do. So, do you want to start with you two want to go and then I'll go with you?
I'm trying to think. There's like so
At what
many
point?
moments.
Yeah,
Because
share
I
them.
first met you at Jesse's event,
Yeah.
at our first Align event, which was
Second.
like second one.
Yep, second
which
one.
was like what, over a year ago now? Because your first
Yeah.
one was like end of 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. It's just like her presence. I think for me, I'm pretty good at reading the room and reading energy, and I feel like
Yeah.
being observant. Even though like obviously like you're the outgoing one, I tend to be like more quiet and like in my thoughts, but I just naturally picked up like she was just so genuine in
Yeah.
her presence and like yeah. And then I think after that we went out to brunch just to like connect on a deeper level. And then, just throughout life over the last few years, so many things have happened to like every one of us, like, things in career, difficult relationships, or like things
Yeah.
going on at home and personal life, and just being there for each other and being able to be authentic. And like, if I'm going through something, I'm like, hey, I really need you to like go on the phone with me and
Yep.
like we need to talk this through. Or there's like not, it's hard to think of one example.
Well,
I
okay,
mean,
so those are
think that,
moments.
like
Yeah.
moments in life that made me, take trust for a relationship. And she never, let me down, always showed up for me at the most important moments. And to me, that matters the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
yeah.
you? When did you realize that you were gonna keep this one around?
I think that, like at the Align event,
Yeah.
it was, first of all, like it was an amazing event. I really encourage everyone to try it. And I just like, I have met so many like genuine people at the event. So, I think that how Adora and I met, it's at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody left.
Yeah.
Adora stayed behind and to make sure everybody had a good time, right? And then make sure that everybody got home safe.
Mhm.
And then she just like she asked like a lot of people like, hey, like did you have fun? Like, are you okay? Right? Like she was just like so genuine and so caring, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like she's a
Yeah.
good egg, right?
I
And
love
then
it.
I think that there's, like sometimes, but I mean, like after we met, and there's times that she would literally like text me, hey, like just want to check in with you, like how are you,
Yeah.
And that is so touching for me because like Adora is very busy, and then
Yeah.
there's times that like I may be really quiet or like just processing on my own, right? That's just like how
Right.
I process things.
Yeah.
But like for her that she noticed my silence and can check in with me, and that just really touched
Yeah,
me. And
yeah.
she just really cared about, our friendship, and
Yeah.
just like her, she said like we have been with each other for so many
Yeah.
up and downs.
Yeah.
Right. There's not one time I have to doubt, oh, maybe like she's not gonna have time for me
No.
or anything, right? Like I was just like, hey, like this is what I'm going through, right?
Mhm.
And then we actually can just be present at the time. Like she has never made me feel that she's not here for me,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And she's always like
I got you.
listening, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it just it's just like how she makes me feel,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
She brought up on a good point before
Okay.
you go. And I think it's like never having to, like we both had on a good point where it's like we don't have to question each other's loyalty.
Yes.
Correct.
Which is
Yeah.
a huge green flag.
Yep.
Because if you ever have to hesitate, is this person going to be there for me? It should trigger something saying like, can you fully trust this person?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. One thing you both have kind of implicitly said and would agree with is when someone understands you in your silence,
Yes.
because both of you check each other on silence,
yeah.
that's when who really gets you, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to speak, and either something's going on or whatnot.
Right.
Got it. What about me? When did you realize you're like, I want to keep this one around? Yeah.
I mean, for you, I think that we just connected on the first day. I'm not sure
Yeah.
how you felt
Yeah.
like. And we literally met through a mutual friend, and we were just I think the entire dinner, we
Yeah.
just like talking and talking, and
Yeah.
we're just talking about different things, and I was just like, wow, like she's very interesting, and I can just talk. We can just talk for hours.
Yeah,
on
we
this.
could.
And then even after we hung out for so many times.
Yeah.
Every time I go home, I feel inspired.
Oh.
And I feel so happy, like, and then, like, we share our, just like Adora, right? Like, we share our sad moments,
Yeah.
we share our happy moments, and we are always there for each
Yeah.
other, right? And then we can always be honest with each other,
Yes,
right? Like,
right.
hey, Yushi, like, I think that, like, maybe I've noticed this in
Yeah.
you, right? And then I would like really tell you, hey, like, this is like what's going on, like,
Yeah.
can we talk about this,
Yeah,
right? We can
yeah.
always be honest with each other, and then I think that deep down we want the other person to
Right.
thrive.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you.
I love
Yeah.
it. I agree. When we met, first of all, I think it was just to remind me about being open. I was getting dinner with my ex, and you and your friend were joined. He was like, "Oh, can you guys come?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Of course, why not? If we can somehow get this reservation, which is so hard to book, to add another two
Yeah.
at prime time, like I don't care. Like who am I to, right?" I remember you came in, and your friend was so sweet. He made you a bath, but it was so hot, and
Yeah.
you were so flustered coming. Your hair was wet, and you were like this. I was like, oh my god, I want to like calm this poor girl down, because she was just like burning in heat, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget when we sat down for dinner. It's like no one else existed.
Correct.
Like,
Yep.
I forgot the guy I was
Yeah.
dating.
Yep.
I didn't know you had another friend that existed. It was
Yep.
just like us in a little bubble. I think that connection there, I felt very safe to talk to you. I think for me, when I realized like I can really, like, I trust you fully, it's like for me, when loyalty, we talked about it, we covered
Yes.
it, right? There's so many times when you've been loyal, and I never had to question whether or not to be there for me.
Right.
Second thing is, because I'm so selective who I keep close, I always feel comfortable bringing you anywhere. Like, I never have to worry about how you'll be or who you're, you know what I mean? Like, I just know you're gonna like have a good time and find your way around things. I felt very comfortable bringing you in, like, my work life,
Yeah.
my coaching life, my finance life, my social life. It was just, I didn't have to separate you from anything.
Mhm.
And that was so clear to me. I think it's the last thing is, I really appreciate you saying that about thriving. It's like, I want nothing more than for every person that I'm close with, anyone I touch, to crush it.
Right.
And I think for you, you not only do you appreciate it, it's like you're willing to like, okay, cool, like how can I get there? Like you're very
Yeah.
open to ideas, right?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I've noticed, how I know that I want to keep you close, is I actually trust your opinion. Adora knows I'm stubborn as shit. I think I'm right 90% of the time. If you're lucky enough to prove me 10% of the time, I'm like, you right? Like
Yeah.
when you prove me right, I will say sorry, I will change my mind. But 90% of the time I'm so stuck in like, I
Yeah.
know exactly what I want. The fact that I'm willing to take your opinion and I ask for your opinion, that's when I know, like, I trust this girl.
Because sometimes I question if you actually love her more than me, because I'll say something and you just shut me down, and then she says it like, Jen, and you're like, yeah, you're right.
That's exactly how I feel. That shit that I tell you for years, but God,
Yeah.
it's mutual.
So I got X'd out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fine
and then
though.
I think that one thing about like just like how we met, right? So because we're just so like
Comfortable around each other.
enjoy each
Yeah.
other's company,
Yeah.
and like we talk about so many like topics, right? At 11 o'clock, when the restaurant is about to close,
Oh yeah.
Jess was like, I'm hungry, like I want to order more food, right? And that's how I feel like half the time, because I
Right.
love food.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm just like, wow, like she's so real, right? Like she's not the type of girl, it's like, oh, you know what? Like I'm just gonna eat like a salad.
Right.
And like,
Oh, no,
I
she
have to
eats.
like, like be careful, right? Like
Yeah.
she just real 24/7.
Right.
Right. And then we share like wine together, we share food
Yeah.
together, we share our happy thoughts, and we share like, sometimes like, hey, I'm not feeling that. We share everything together, and
Yeah.
I think that is
Yeah.
such a like a green light.
Yeah.
It's just like you can share every aspect of
Yeah.
your life
Yeah.
with that person,
Yes.
and feel so good about it and so
Yeah.
supported.
Right.
Yeah. And I think
And
what,
that's your whole purpose with this
What?
whole thing, with aligning the business too, and throwing events and like really awesome events on like, maintaining and building better relationships, business opportunities. It's about meeting people and really
Yeah.
you helping people find their greatest potential.
Yeah.
And I think that's the greatest thing, and that's your gift.
Thank you. And that's another thing, like I really do take so much honor when you guys tell me things like
Yeah.
in secret, like things that like you probably have never opened up to before. Like
Yes,
I feel
yeah.
so honored that you trust me with it and that you want to hear my thoughts of how to process it and things
Right.
like that. I think that's how I knew that you and I were going to be like this forever. Because like
Yeah.
there's things that I'm sure you told me and I've told you that like do people that have a whole life know about it? So yeah, I agree. What about other? And I would say, well, obviously with you, we're stuck in the same house. But I think I know we have different perspectives of this, but I really personally I felt that I got so close to you after we graduated.
Mhm.
I think it's more of like once you give each other space. When you have space, you really appreciate each other more.
Yeah.
And I think it's like as you grew into your own and you were more open-minded, I felt more comfortable
Yeah.
sharing things with you.
Right.
And I think this year was probably the closest we've ever been because we've been so vulnerable. We've apologized for things that happened years ago, but it had to happen.
Mhm.
And I think we both took responsibility for our part of the relationship. That it's like, I feel healed. Like, I feel like there's nothing left for me. Like, there's no trauma, there's no more triggers. Like, it's gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's also as people go through their different journeys in life, right? That at some point, like maybe I didn't see things the same way or at your level,
Yeah.
and vice versa. But it takes time for us individually to go through life and what we need to go through
Yeah.
to like figure it out. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm a better person because I went through stuff,
Yeah.
traumatic stuff
Yeah.
2 years ago, and I healed, and it took time, but I'm a better person today because it went.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we covered a lot of green flags just from like us sharing it, but any last thoughts you want to like highlight on green flags or like what makes a good relationship?
No, I think we covered a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, we covered
All of it, yeah. I would say biggest thing is just you mentioned it right in the beginning. Trust your gut, trust your feelings, right? Like how do you feel around this
Mhm.
person? I think that's very telling, because the quality of your life depends on the quality of relationships.
Yeah,
Right.
because we have to think about like from like nature versus nurture, kind of like our body is to protect us,
Yes.
right? So our body actually knows a lot more than we actually think that we know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like incidents that like I met with certain people, and then afterwards I
Same.
felt sick.
Yeah.
I had cold sores. I mean, you guys know.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
I
cold
know
sores.
all your cold
right?
sores.
And then
I'm
like
like,
From
another
drinking a
cold sore.
drink. I was like, that's a lot.
And then I think just this year, I realized that my cold sore is a signal. Like, is this person worth investing my time?
Right.
Yes.
Because maybe when we were hanging out, I was so stressed out, and my body is really trying to protect me, and that's why like my immune system
Yes.
is compromised and all of that. So like really listen to your body.
Yeah. Right? I
Yeah.
think we've all gotten sick in the wrong relationship because our
Yes.
physical body was
Yeah.
like, listen, danger.
Yeah.
So trust your body, trust your feelings, and keep the good ones close. So I hope this is helpful. Thank you, girl.